I probably will, and maybe probably even should catch some heat for this, but I'm kind of proud of this loss. Everything essentially that I was hoping would happen happened in this ball game. So regardless of the score, we showed some fight. We showed some life. The Cowboy football team under Doug Meacham has a heartbeat.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome into this post-game live show of the Oklahoma State Baylor performance. And you know what? I'm not entirely mad at it. You can follow me on X. We're available on all of your platforms, as well as YouTube, whether you're into audio or visual. Today, we're partially sponsored by Mazda. You have to make sure that you get the opportunity of a lifetime with a Mazda where you can absolutely move and be moved, because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for the highlights in today's Moving the Game Forward performance by Mazda, where you can move and be moved. We had a dude moving today that we'll talk about a little bit later on. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not supposed to take consolation prizes. I know that. But there is no way physically possible for me to complain about this ball game, because what have we been hooting and hollering about? Play the guys who you know are more invested than everybody else, that show up to everything all the time, on time, put in the extra work. And what do we see out the football field today? We saw a ton of Trent Allen. We saw a lot of Rodney Fields. Defensively, the D-line was shaken up. We saw a ton of Armstrong Nodum, Sid Vinny, Havili Kafusi, Jaleel Johnson, until he had that little injury thing obviously pop up. But we had guys out there on the field making plays, showing precisely why they're willing to put in the effort. So if that is how we're going to reward people for the rest of the season, and it looks somewhat like this, I think we should all be pretty happy. This is something that we can hang our hat on, be proud of, and take into consideration that the guys that we needed to do things did things. Sam Jackson at quarterback, just to mix it up a little bit, it happened. Diamond formation with some Wildcat action, that happened. Feed the beast that is Trent Allen, and that absolutely happened. Without Sam Jackson being back there to add a little bit of an additional flavor to the offense, I'm not 100% sure that Zane Flores doesn't have the day that he has. Because over 230 yards for Zane today is not too bad whatsoever. And the wrinkles in with Sam Jackson, I think, were precisely what this offense needed. Going to some of the Wildcat formations to give more ability for Rodney Fields and Trent Allen, precisely what this offense needed. You know what? We got to tip our cap to Shamar Rigby. Shamar Rigby had his career day here at Oklahoma State. Terrell Davis was able to pop out there and make some plays. I was happy to see that Trip White was able to start at that outside backer spot, had a really nice day, and then Brandon Rawls comes in kind of in a backup style role, and he has one hell of a game as well. It was a sight to see. And you know what? It was pretty cool going into halftime, seeing Doug Meacham, like raising up to the crowd. He was smiling. He was happy. Did we win? No. Is our consolation prizes great? Absolutely not. But whenever you do put on a performance that is somewhat respectable and admirable, it gives us a reason to be excited about the rest of the season. Now, I was railing a little bit on the crowd size, how it was utterly embarrassing. And I made a comment about, it would suck to have a bunch of fake-ass bandwagon-style fans. There were some pictures and videos sent to me from some people in the crowd, so it wasn't as bad as I thought. I have to walk that back. I do, in fact, apologize. The crowd should have been better, but you saw a response from this team. They played with a little bit more enthusiasm. They were able to rally to the football. They were willing to bang heads around, get in on tackles, make some things happen. This was a fun thing to see, because one of the biggest things that we wanted to see coming into the game, other than Sam Jackson, the Wildcat, Trent Allen, more of the backups on the defensive side of the ball, other than all that of course has me elated beyond belief, I think additionally we were able to show that we have the ability to counterbalance. And we also showed that the offense under Doug Meacham was a little bit hamstrung in the first few games of the season. So having a little bit of clarity in that direction, I think, personally, is pretty important. And the guys that were able to step up and rally, I think it's a big deal, and it sets us up to have some semblance of success throughout the course of the season. because the guys that were on the field, the Aiden Kellys, the Armstrong Notams, and Royal Capel, how about that one? Like, whenever we came up with our original depth chart at the beginning of the season, it looked a lot like this, which was absolutely phenomenal to see. It was nice to see Kyron Duhan get out there and to be able to make some plays. Cam Smith, I think, had a pretty decent game. And at the end of the day, the Cowboys put themselves in a position to show every team in the conference that we're not going to get walked on. It's not going to be easy. We're going to make it difficult. And hopefully the crowd does, in fact, get a little bit better. If we're looking for a reason to rally behind the ball club, I do, in fact, think that we just kind of saw it. We saw that we do have some dudes that are loyal and true. For the most part, we'll have to find out how many of them enter the transfer portal. But if we were to just jump off into potential crazy land, is it out of the realm of possibility to not question why the guys, for the most part, defensively, that have been starting for the first 3 games did not start this game? I love seeing Mordecai McDaniel out there. The veteran leadership that he clearly provides for this ball club is important. Yeah, I got to tip my cap to Ike Essen when he was able to get in there. I'm not sure if Brian McCoy had a little bit of an injury, but there was a significant number of guys on the D-line in the front 7 and even to some degree in the back 7 that have not been playing a bunch this season, that played their tails off today. They got a ton of playing time. Yes, I know the defense did get cooked a little bit, but guys, coming into the season, Baylor was projected to be a Big 12 title contender. Sawyer Robertson was projected to be at least a dark horse Heisman kind of guy. So I think the fact that we were able to stand up to the level that we were does give us at least a little bit of confidence throughout the course of the season. Get a couple comments in here for all you podcasting people out here. I'll read them out. Parker Chapman says, I'm not mad at all. Still crazy we have a wide receiver thrown tutty before Zane. Well, it wasn't even that. I mean, we got to see Trent Howland almost drop a tutty dime as well. That set himself up for a touchdown in the end zone. Absolutely remarkable to see. The Mick attendance wasn't terrible. It definitely cleared out closer to the end, but I'd say almost 3/4 capacity. Yeah, so again, the pictures that we're putting out evidently were probably at kickoff or right before kickoff, as opposed to the videos that were getting sent of the crowd looking a little bit better. 3/4, I didn't necessarily see that, but I greatly appreciate you. The Mick again. It's great to watch and see changes and the excitement from everyone. They actually had plays that looked like an Oklahoma State level football team. Abso-flippin'-lutely, brother. Absolutely. Announcement was 52K. That may be. Okay, that may be. Wow, breaking news, Mike Gundy for the next Baylor coach. Wouldn't that be a wild ride? Well, you know, they did win. Parker Robertson did put on a pretty good performance. I'd argue 50K, 52K attendance numbers from the Mick. Yeah, it didn't look like quite that much on TV. But, you know, even if it was, let's say, 35, 40K, it's better than what it looked like in the beginning. But it's still not acceptable, guys. Okay, so I wasn't going to talk about this, but here we be. I did have a few shots of Jack before the game started, so it is what it is. If I'm slightly inebriated, blame – I don't know what we can blame. I expected to get dominated, right? Let's be realistic. But as soon as I realized that we were playing a ball game, we schematically showed up with something to counteract Baylor's strengths, and we were successful at it. I realized, okay, we might put up a fight here. I might need to do a post-game deal. But the attendance deal, I mean, what are we doing, right? So as a fan, every fan base in the country gets rightfully so frustrated when they feel like the loyal and true thing is kind of stretched thin. And there are a lot of people saying that Oklahoma State to some degree wasn't loyal true about the Mike Gundy deal. But if we're going to talk about some of the players that are quote unquote selfish and are not playing for what's on front of the jersey and instead they're playing for what's back on the jersey, if we're going to give those players a hard time, as we should, then I think we do have to make it applicable for, you know, the coaching staff and the fans as well. So we can't sit here and say, well, we want loyal and true and then only bring 40,000 people to the stadium. I don't love it, right? I didn't think it was a great look. All right, Zach Attack. Who are we firing now? Because I swear people are saying Gundy was the issue, but we still got to beat 2 scores. No, come on, Zach, dude. Yeah, we got beat by 2 scores at home, but coming into that game, I think most people would agree that we were probably going to get absolutely ran out of the stadium, and we did not do that. That did not happen. We still got to revert back to the fact that Sawyer Robertson is not a scrub. Sawyer Robertson is a bad mamma jamma. Defensively, yeah, Zach, I'll put this comment up. Where was the defense was a joke in the second half. Yeah, they schematically, they did find a way to get more holes, and they were able to exploit those. So I guess we can say hats off to them to some degree. But the game plan, I think, wasn't bad. The scripting wasn't bad. The fact that we were able to make adjustments to get some movement and to get some guys in the end zone, it was important. It was important that we saw that, right? Because there's a possibility now, in my personal opinion, that after that ball game, there should be some players that say, you know what? There is still something here. We do still have talent. We do still have that Cowboy culture ingrained in some of the foundational players, which are largely likely the players that we saw today. There was a ton of players that have started the first 3 games that we did not see play much at all, if even a down today. I have to think that that is a message being sent, that if you're talking about jumping in the portal already, or you're talking about doing other things, buying other things, being a part of other things, then maybe perhaps we should see more of the Parker Robertsons like we've been hooting and hollering now. That's exactly what we saw. So hats off to Aiden Kelly. Hats off to Landon Dean getting in there and be able to mix it up. Armstrong Nodum. It was great to see Trip White. It was great to see Cam have a nice day. Trent Hallen was absolutely massive. Speaking of, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. With Mazda, you can move and be moved, so make sure that you're ready to rock and roll with a Mazda today. Guys, whenever you're looking to get into a vehicle and find that movement forward, we have to talk about moving the game forward with the player of the day. It's about redefining expectations. These are the moments that do more than just simply put points on the board. They're able to move crowds, move cultures, and keep the game rocking and rolling. Today, I would say it's a co-MVP. How do you not say that Trent Hallen doesn't deserve to carry the weight for the MVP today, but also not see that Sam Jackson, being an integral piece of this offensive system, wasn't a huge, absolutely huge reason that Oklahoma State had a chance in this game? So MVP, Trent Hallen, Sam Jackson, that game plan was good enough to make us a viable threat throughout the course of the season. So when we're following what moves you, when you follow what moves you, the unexpected can sometimes only be the beginning. And just like there's more to every single highlight, there's more to what Trent Hallen and Sam Jackson can provide. There's also more to every single Mazda vehicle. So make sure that you get with Mazda so you can move and be moved by Mazda. Yeah, how about Trent Hallen toting the rock for just under 90 yards, just over 5.3 yards per carry. Rodney Fields getting in the mix, almost 40 yards as well above that 6 yards a carry mark. We look like an adequate team. The offensive line did pretty decent in my opinion. And I think collectively we have to look at this game with pride. Again, one of the biggest things that we were preaching about was creativity offensively. Give us some wrinkles. Give us some Sam Jackson in the backfield. Let him go out because he can throw the ball. And that's precisely what we were able to do. And being able to extend the defense laterally side to side makes them have to respect things a little bit more, which gives Zane at least a little bit more time, which is precisely why Zane was able to have 230 some odd yards. Yes, I know that we defensively gave up 393 yards passing. Okay, so we got something to work on. But if we're looking for a sense of pride, if we're looking for a sense of something can be better, the fact that we did mix it up and we had the diamond formation, we had the Wildcat, we got Trent involved in multiple ways, we got Sam Jackson involved in multiple ways, we got Zane Flores not only moving out of the pocket, but there was a few times he stepped into the pocket, made some really nice throws, which is what allowed Shamar Rigby to have a career day, almost 90 yards himself. All in all, I think we have to be pretty excited about the offensive capabilities of this team, because the offensive ineptitude the first 3 games was mightily concerning. It's not that big of a concern anymore. This team has the ability to go beat some people. Are we going to be great? No, probably not. But if we can lean on some things that we did today, I think at the end of the day, we'll end up being fine. Those wrinkles were important. And now he gets a full week. This week will be Doug Meacham's first entire week to add install. So if he's willing to add all of these wrinkles that he did today on basically just a couple days' time, can we imagine what it could potentially look like with a full week's worth of work? I think that Arizona, if they're watching this game or they're paying attention, whenever they get into film, they're going to see that we played with a different level of intensity. Did we show up and win, dominate? No, we did not. Oh, Kyle, good buddy, I'm going to read this comment for everybody out here in podcast land. Passion and drive is all that I ask for this year, 100%. The rest is going to take time. The defense does need help, but did we forget Noel's first season? The effort should be the biggest eye-opener. Yeah, we played inspired football. The guys out there like the Notams and the Landon Deans and the Mordecai McDaniels and the David Kabongos, they were playing with a different sense of urgency. Trent Hallen was trucking dudes over. If we're going to jump into any negativity, I think it might just be there was a few times that if Zane Flores kind of had better vision, he probably scores at least one of those times that he could have cut left and there was nobody within 15, 20 yards. And there was a couple other times that Zane could have taken off. He could have easily gotten some first downs. But we do have to take in consideration, as much as we don't like it when we keep hearing, well, he needs more time, he needs more games, he needs more experience. You have to admit, I mean, we're looking better. I don't think anyone can make the argument that Baylor, no offense to Tulsa, okay, but Baylor is a better football team than Tulsa by a pretty decent amount. And we put up one hell of a fight today. RT says, yeah, it's pretty apparent Meacham wasn't making all the play calls. Yeah, right? We were going to make a determination today if Doug Meacham's offense was being a little bit handcuffed by Mike Gundy. And it appears as though it was. And you know what? It's kind of bad if it wasn't, and we still put up this kind of performance, because regardless, it does make things look a little like Doug Meacham was being hamstrung. Defense and Grantham are overpaid by OT, Tom. Yeah, no, you're right, buddy. We did overpay for this defense. I thought I saw something the other day that said we spent like 15, 16 mil. And that, see, I've talked about it on the show. When I kind of did the math from the players I'm aware of, to me, it came out around 13-ish. So to hear that we spent more than 13 mil on this roster, if that's accurate, and we're this bad, and again, look at the lineup today. There's at least a solid handful of dudes making legit ass NIL dollar bills that didn't touch the field today. So again, like if we're looking for bright spots offensively, that was a bright spot. Some of the adjustments we were able to make, absolutely a bright spot. The negatives, I think were just defensively. You could see that the players playing were fighting their absolute tails off. They love this place. They love what they're doing. They were trying to play together to accomplish something. And you know what? They had damn near pulled it off. I see some good, or some comments in here about giving up 45, kind of embarrassing. Yeah, sure. But once again, guys, we've been getting beat like a redheaded stepchild behind a woodshed, getting taught a thing or 17 all flipping season. So the fact that we have some semblance of a football team that can go out there and put on adequate performances, it has to give you at least a little bit of the warm and fuzzy feeling. Zach Attack. I got to say, those donors were apparently holding back the big checks until Gundy was gone. Better put their money where their mouth is. We're hearing some pretty legit names. I was going to save this for an episode, but blame this on the whiskey. The fact that we're hearing Gus Malzahn's name so often is really starting to bother me. Like, I know offensively, he's kind of reimagined some things, and he's doing very, very well at Florida State right now. But I think there was a reason that most of his head coaching stops have been a disaster. I do think we have to take that into consideration. So at the end of the day, guys, I'm excited now. We have to be excited about the offense. We get a full flipping week of install. So now we likely get to see more Trent Allen, more Royal Capel. We get to see, probably some different mix-ups now with Sam Jackson V. Am I crazy, or did it finally look like Zane Flores was getting in some semblance of a rhythm and having at least a little bit of a better understanding of the windows he's supposed to be throwing the balls to? Did he still throw some dead ducks? Yes, he did. Did he miss a couple wide open kind of receivers? 100%. But, okay, so before we get to segment 3 and then skedaddle on off here, real quick, let's bring up the wide receivers. Y'all, yes, I know that Shamar Rigby did have a pretty good game, and I know that Terrell Davis had some pretty nice moments as well. G Freaky, Gavin Freeman, he did all right. But all in all, and the announcers even were talking about it, in that first half especially, Zane Flores didn't have a dude to just toss the ball up and go make plays. It is kind of sad that a school that 100% legitimately has at least an argument to the wide receiver U conversation is currently a team with no wide receiver dudes for the most part. Now, maybe we can look for more of Shamar Rigby after this game. Again, no Christian Fitzpatrick, and I hate to say it, but we look better. Yeah, we were without a few front seven dudes that didn't play, and we look better. Offensively, we added a ton of wrinkles that all of us regulators on here have just been screaming to the heavens for, and we got all of it. And we turned this game into a fight that Baylor Bears did not expect. And now we have hope because Arizona is a beatable team. If we play like that and Zane hits a couple more passes, we're in the ballgame. And we would have an opportunity to get a W and build something. So shout out to Doug Meacham. I know we gave our MVPs to Trent Allen and Sam Jackson, but, Doug, thank you for the creativity. Thank you for an offense that looked good enough to play power forward football and drive the ball down the daggone field and do something with it. Much appreciated, sir. Today is your day to get squared away with DoorDash. The streak can stay alive. It's almost that weekend. We just got to crown this week's MVP, which is obviously going to be Trent Allen Co. with Sam Jackson. But just like DoorDash, you need to have it delivered to get your streak rocking and rolling so you can save every time that you order. Just like Trent Allen and Sam Jackson, when it matters most, they're going to break it down. For Sam Jackson and Trent Allen in Oklahoma State country, they were able to deliver today in big ways, right? So whether it was the touchdown or the pass that Trent Allen threw to get him to the end zone to basically score his own touchdown, or Sam Jackson being a threat, so much so that when he goes east to west with the ball in his hand, you have to respect the threat of him throwing. I'm glad that those dudes came through for the Cowboys today. No hesitation, no delay. They were ready to rock and roll. Hopefully, this cannot be judged as a fluke performance, and I think when you look at Trent against Oregon, we don't have to worry about that. The streak stays alive. And just like Trent Allen delivered for Oklahoma State today with help of Sam Jackson, DoorDash delivers every Saturday for you with the DoorDash streaks. Stack it all up, save over $250, included $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday today. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game days only with DoorDash. Terms apply, and this promo period is good through November 18th. Last but not least, FanDuel has to chip in. It's the capitalization season for you, and you need to get squared away today with FanDuel. In order to do that, maybe you should have some help, ladies and gentlemen. Have the energy that you need to dominate with FanDuel by using your 5-Hour Energy. Caffeine just got flavor upgrades with 5-Hour Energy shots that deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with zero sugar. What you're going to love the most is how portable they are. With big taste and a tiny shot, you can take them almost anywhere. The honesty that whenever you think of 5-Hour Energy, it can kick in fast. That's what you love the most without the sugar. so you don't have the massive crashing later. So enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love today, or be bold and try something new in the store or online at www.5hourenergy.com, or also go to Amazon. You can do that today. All right, before we get out of here, full speed. We played very inspired football. So, hats off to the staff for putting the players out there, regardless of if at times defensively we left some holes, we left some things open, we have some deficiencies that we need to work on. The one thing we cannot question about this ball game was the intensity, the speed, the heart, the effort that these dudes played with. So for the rest of the season, if we get this kind of effort, we're going to be at least in the daggone ball games. I don't even know if we could have anything to complain about other than the score and some of the defensive stuff. But again, we got a tip cap to Baylor as well. They made a lot of really good second half adjustments, especially offensively. But even then, I mean, we did make them earn it, right? It's not like we were giving up 70-yard bombs like in the beginning. The rest of the game, more often than not, we did have to force them to matriculate the ball down the field somewhat methodically. They were able to do that. And I think that does accentuate the fact that Sawyer Robertson is legit. So if we're going to lose, at least we lose, what's the saying, in 300 on your shield, come home on your shield, something to that effect. We went down swinging. The first 3 games of the season, we were not even a paper tiger. We were like a paper baby puma. But today, we look like a Power 4 football team. Today, we look like a team that could compete. Why am I getting phone calls from Florida? Anywho, let's get to a few comments before we skedaddle on off of here. And a quick update on my lovely friends Falcons. 22-0. Let's go. 22-0 over Evangel. The natty season is coming for friends. All right, let's get to a few comments before we skedaddle on off of here. So if you want to get read and answered, get them in here real quick. Zach Attack, we beat Tulsa with Haney. Probably, buddy. Probably. Well, I mean, again, if there's some validity to the concept of Mike Gundy was holding back Doug Meacham, maybe not. Yeah, but because today it was we have the evidentiary proof that Doug Meacham wanted to do some other things, or at least was willing to do some other things. And that eye candy, that differentiation between this offense and the offense we've been seeing, I think is absolutely massive for Oklahoma State. And now, it's going to give us a shot to be in every ball game. So instead of talking about, maybe not even 2-8, Arizona's susceptible. Houston, they've lost 3 or 4 starting offensive linemen. Not great. Don't wish it on anybody, but it does theoretically make them susceptible. Kansas State obviously is gettable. UCF, that's a gettable ball game. Of course, this is assuming we play like we've been playing. And I'll tell you what, guys, if we play like this for the remainder of the season, we are going to have the conversation of, does Doug Meacham deserve a shot? Let's say that we go from where we are now and we somehow finish the season like 4-8. I mean, even 5-7. I can't believe we're talking about 4-8 and 5-7 being cool, but here we are. At least we got to show something. And I'm glad that we showed it with the players today that likely have a little bit of a different level of investment. Maybe they don't have the NIL investment that some of the other fellas have, but the guys that probably bleed the most and work the hardest are the ones that started and played today. And they played at full speed with reckless abandon. They made it fun. They made it exciting. They made it a ball game. I mean, what else can we ask for? All right, a few more comments. Maybe he had a shot versus Baylor because of his legs. With Haas, yeah. Haas's legs are so rare that it does separate stuff. I heard, and what it's supposed to say. No, we're shutting him down. I'm not sure. from Zach Attack. Haney will stay if Meacham stays. Maybe. I think it's going to be contingent upon how the season goes. 3 wins are the ceiling. If Haney comes back, maybe. Mick, Zarrett, sorry. It's over in your eyes. Some of us are going to enjoy the small victories and be there with the guys as they climb from the bottom. They've got to recover, and it's not instant. At a baby, Mick. I don't think Zach was trying to lucky. Okay, here we go. If we're lucky, Zach Attack, we win one more game. Nah. I think we did enough in this ball game to show that if you give Doug Meacham a little bit more time, if you give him a full week, people are going to call him, dog and pony show, trick plays, or whatever the case may be. I don't give a crap, right? If this is what we need to do to shake things up and get the eye discipline of the defense at least moving to give us a shot, I'm all for it. Zach Attack, I hope and pray I'm wrong, but based on our schedule and the state of our defense, what? I thought that we're only going to win one more game. Yeah, and the quarterback doesn't look great. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. All right, a couple more. Did it not look incredibly better today? Yes. Is Haney coming back in the next few weeks? Yes. I don't think so, buddy. The team looks so much different. Yeah, but again, let's just be fair. Think of it as if it was your kid. If we're 3-3, 4-3, yeah, you probably come back for that, for sure. But if we're 1-5 or 2-5, something to that effect, with the O-line problems that we've been having, I don't know. I don't know if I'd throw him back out there. But if we win like 3 in a row, then hell yeah. Then I think it is a conversation that becomes viable. And then it shows potential extra layers of leadership. And again, I'm not saying that if Haas doesn't come back, he's not a leader. But what I am saying is we showed some fight today. We look like a completely different team. It's very evident, right? Even when we had Haas on the program on this very show, he's here because of Kevin Johns and Doug Meacham. So if Doug Meacham continues to do that, then whether Haas plays the rest of this season or not, we could be setting him up to be the catalyst for next season. All right. It looked better, yes. Hopefully we keep improving, but maybe not with Flores. I don't know. Come on, man. 230 some odd yards. It's somewhat respectable. Meach surprised me today. I was hopeful, and that's what I wanted to see. How many guys threw the ball today? How many trick plays? It was way cool. Yeah, it was something that we needed. It was something that we haven't been doing. The Sam Jackson wrinkle, it just seems so on the nose obvious. And that's a frustration that has to be, at least to some degree, on Gundy. Because and they showed flashes, I believe, in the first quarter or so of this ball game of Sam Jackson's highlights at TCU and Cal, throwing dimes and whatnot. And we got to see it today. And we've been begging for it on the show. We've been begging for different players on defense to play. We've been begging for Sam Jackson. We've been begging for more Trent Hallen. Thankfully, Rodney Fields is finally healthy. So the preseason or the post-fall depth chart of Rodney and Trent, that's the 1-2 combo. That's it. We need to stop messing around with all this other ridiculousness. All right, lastly, before we skedaddle, I like Meach and would support him getting the job if the offense gets better. I think I personally would still like to, as of now, shoot a little bit higher. But as they say, the proof is in the pudding. If Doug Meacham wins like 4 games, as the season progresses, then you do have to have that conversation. Does Doug Meacham deserve a shot? So, yeah, it'll be contingent upon how he does. At least we're excited. At least we have something to look forward to. At least we have a ball club with a heartbeat. And you know what? For all of you out here still, I'm not sure. I can't say that Doug Meacham watches this show. But if you're a regular and you know. All righty, y'all. That's all we're going to have for this one right here. As always, I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning into this live spot. Do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave some reviews for all you fine folks out here on YouTube for podcasting country, my YouTube people, hit the like, share, comment, subscribe. See, it's that whiskey talking once again. But I think we powered on through this. We powered through this just like Trent Howland powered through the Baylor Bears today. Cannot wait to holler and see what he can do the rest of the season. All right, y'all. You know what it is. Later, taters.